He might have been a libertine of the highest order, but poorly mannered he was not, and it took little effort on his part to charm the two young ladies, as well as the older matron. His eyes had wandered around the room as the young girls recited a poem for his benefit, picking out a spot on the floor where the wood was darker, denoting a piece of furniture that had long stood there. From its odd shape and his hostess's musical education, he guessed a piano. Silas did not like the twist in his stomach when his gaze moved from the empty spot to Eleanor Eastwick's quickly downcast eyes, as if she were watching him looking, and knew exactly what it was he would see. The library, too, seemed somewhat emptier to him than it had been the first night he met her, graciously accepting the glass of port he'd been offered as the younger girls went to bed. "I hope you don't mind an old lady like me being your chaperone this evening, my lord," the old dowager had chided gaily as Eleanor went to tuck the girls in. He decided not to take it as an affront to his charm that she was already dozing in her chair by the time Miss Eastwick returned, reminding him of what a strain on the family his visits likely were. "I do apologize, Miss Eastwick. I'm sure it's frightfully inconvenient for you to play hostess at this time of night." She'd shrugged prettily, topping off his glass and pouring herself 2 fingers of the rich liquid, grinning at his raised eyebrow. "If I'm to have a cup of ratafia, my lord, you will be having one as well. And, as I told you once before, Lord Stride, I'm a bit of a night owl, always have been. I assure you, these hours are quite normal to me." Something moved inside him at her admission, a queer shift in his chest that left him feeling slightly out of breath, and he worried he was forming some condition. Of course she would be used to late hours, he reminded himself. How many times had he left the concert halls and theatres, arriving at some private salon for a post-theatre sup at near midnight? The performers at such venues would be doing the same, a celebratory drink and meal with cast and crewmates at taverns, or else leaving on the arm of a wealthy patron for a private party. She's more apt to keep your hours than half your staff. "Do you know why I so enjoy the theatre, Miss Eastwick?" he asked suddenly, watching her eyebrows raise. "I keep an apartment in Paris for much the same reason as I keep a permanent residence in London, you know. Partially for business, but mostly because I do so enjoy patronizing the arts, symphonies and operas, theatres that produce concerts and plays and exhibitions, like the one where I heard you sing. They all have one thing in common, my dear, they're designed to be enjoyed at night." Her eyes were bright, her full lower lip trapped between her teeth in a gesture he was beginning to recognize as familiar, something she did unconsciously. It's a poor way to treat such a lovely little lip.